Samantha, we're all ready to go on your end. And Lisa in Payson, she's talking. We're all ready?
We're ready.
Okay, and Cassandra, we're ready. We're ready to go. Okay, then, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, February 6th. It's 10 a.m. In the year 2024, if you've been traveling through time. And I'd like to ask James if he would lead us in the pledge. If you'd all stand, please. Montague for our prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this day, and we are thankful for the Board of Supervisors that they are able to meet and hear information and to help decide what is best for the county. And please give them thy spirit and to inspire them that they will know what is best to do for us. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, we have a bit of a schedule today, so we'll get started right away. We have a couple presentations. Item 2A is a presentation of Gila County General Fund financial data as it compares to the fiscal year 2024 Gila County budget and the fiscal years 23, 22, 21, and 20 year-to-date performance. And is Marin here? That's an entrance. Very nice.
Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. That was. We should make that a standard deal.
That was better than my last one where I jumped up too early, right?
Okay,
morning,
we look
Mr.
forward to
Chair.
your presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. We just have our update through the end of December for you today. As standard with this chart, the blue line on the left shows 100% of the budget, and then the green line, which is the third one in, shows where we should be at 6 months, which is 50%. And then your red line shows where you are for 2024. The other lines show where you were in 2021, 22, and 23. As you can see, we are at 47% year-to-date expenses for salaries and EREs, 30% for operating expenses, and when we add in encumbrances, salaries and EREs, and operating expenses, we are at 48.7% of the budget year-to-date compared to a 50% target. Revenue is at 46% and is $2.5 million more than the same time last year. If we hadn't gotten the grant from the State Department of Veterans Services, year-to-date revenues would be about $500,000 less than they were a year ago, and that's just due to the timing of the state shared sales tax and the annual EORP circuit breaker funding, which we have not received yet, but in the past 2 years we've received in November. Any questions?
Thank you, Marin. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
I'm good too, Marin. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm fine.
Okay, great.
Thank you for your presentation.
We'll be back in a month.
Okay. Our second presentation, 2B, public recognition of 6 employees through the County Spotlight on Employees program as follows: Nicole Archibald, Thor Knudsen, Lori Lombardo, Wendy Boyce, Randy Worstler, and Daniel Gale. I hope I got all that right.
Yes.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Again, thank you for letting us be here today. As mentioned, we do have 6 employees that were nominated. We do have 4 of them up in Payson today as well. But first off, what we're going to recognize is Nicole Archibald. Her spotlight nomination read, the recent accomplishment that merits a staff spotlight is the partnership Nikki arranged with Borderlands Produce Rescue, a Nogales-based organization that works closely with the fresh produce trucking industry to divert surplus veggies, fruits, and produce from landfills, preventing food waste and distributing healthy, fresh food to communities around Arizona. Nikki read about Borderlands Produce Rescue, made contact, and arranged for a truckload of healthy veggies, fruits, and produce delivery to Globe on November 15th. Once the deal was cemented, Nikki also coordinated a social media campaign announcing this first truckload and corralling pre-order signups. Within a few days, Facebook posts were shared more than 100 times and generated dozens of comments and likes, which amplified the reach of the campaign, recruiting signups. So Nikki is employed with Health Community Services, and she's been employed with the county almost 6.5 years. And Nikki, I don't know if you want to come up. And if you'd like to say anything.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a really fun program, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Thor Knudsen. His nomination read, we want to thank Sergeant Knudsen for rescuing us at the end of the lake past Schoolhouse Landing and pulling us and our boat back to Indian Point. Seeing those blue lights were our saving grace. Sergeant Knudsen went above and beyond what we ever expected, making sure that our boat and ourselves were safe the entire time. When we finally got back to Indian Point about 3 hours later, he made sure that we were off the boat and safe before he left. He was told initially that my phone pinged off a tower when I had called 911, but he had called dispatch and found that I had said we had passed the Schoolhouse Landing, so he searched for us there and found us. We were so thankful that he went above and beyond. Thank you so much, Sergeant Knudsen. We appreciate you so very much. This was an email from a member of the public, the Fairs. Thor has been with the Sheriff's Office for almost 16 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Board of Supervisors in Gila County, for keeping Lake Patrol afloat and letting us buy the gear we need and keeping us funded.
Thank you for your service.
Next, we have a group nomination for our Public Works staff, Lori, Wendy, Randy, and Daniel. Their spotlight nomination. I want to take a moment, and rightfully, to recognize these 4 employees for their teamwork, customer service, initiative, and integrity. Upon driving out to the Buckhead Mesa landfill on a drizzly, wet, cold day right before Christmas, it was observed that this team was working together and even working outside. When I approached the landfill, not only were these team members working out in the cold, but I was also greeted in a friendly and welcoming way. This team could have decided that since no one was coming to the landfill and since it was too cold to be outside, that they could just stay in the office until they had to do something, but they did not. This team exemplifies the type of quality employees we should all strive to be, and I'm proud to call them teammates and Gila County employees. And this was recognized by Supervisor Christensen. So first up, we have Lori, who has been employed with the county 5 months, and Lori's down in Payson, waving from the back. And Lori, I don't know if you want to say anything.
I don't know what to say. I just say thank you very much. I enjoy working at the landfill, and we do work hard all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Wendy Boyce, who's been with the county a little over 2 months. Wendy? And Wendy, if you'd like to say anything.
I just want to say thank you for hiring me on. I mean, I'm relatively new, but we do have a good team and family out there, and that's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy Worsler has been with the county for 5 months. Randy? And if you want to say anything, Randy, if not, that's fine too.
It's really hard to hear you guys.
Would you like to say anything?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's so far it's been a pleasure working out there. We have a really good team. we have fun together, and it's a pleasure. I'm glad we could make some people happy. Try to make everybody happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Daniel Gale, who's been with the county over 5.5 years. Daniel?
Just gotta say thanks. Like working here.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And of course, that does conclude this month's nominations. So,
Thank you, Erica.
thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Have a good
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to item 3, which is our public hearings, section 3A. Information, discussion, action to adopt ordinance number 2024-01, which authorizes an amendment to the Gila County zoning map for unincorporated areas of Gila County, Arizona, by changing the zoning for assessor's parcel number 205-03-010A, described as parcel 1 of record of survey number 5730 Globe, Arizona, to industrial 3 M3 district. Randy.
Morning, Chairman and Supervisors. So this is the area that Tri-City Sanitation is wanting to put their plant. This is off the 188. They're seeking to change it from the TRD2T to the M3, which would allow for that use. Currently around that parcel, there is some C3, some other TR, D2Ts, an R1, M3, C3, and another TR. So it just depends on which way to go. All the notifications were sent out as required for the zoning, and we have received no comments back for or against. Legal ads were sent out on 1/16 of 24 and 1/17 of 24, and staff recommends approval for this. I know you guys have heard a lot about Tri-City. I know there's a couple of representatives here that want to talk, so I'll open that up for them.
Okay, thank you. So who do we have from Tri-City today?
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Mike Krebs. I'm the engineer for Tri-City, and also Robert Jacques, who is the president of the board, is here with us today also. We appreciate this opportunity, and it's we're getting through the project, and it seems like it's one step at a time, but we're making progress. So if you could go to the next slide. Okay, so what I wanted to do here was just kind of give you a little quick overview of how we got to this site, and then also we have a video of kind of a flyover that we put together. Might help see what it would look like when we get the package done. So and we had a site in 2018 when we submitted the preliminary engineering report to USDA, and that was in 2018. and 2019, BHP came to us and said that tailings dam, we need to do a bunch of work on it. So you can't have that site, because we were just at the toe, pretty close to the toe of that. And so that set us to search for another site. We looked at a number of different ones, and really kind of at the last moment, this site became available. And it's a little hard to see on the drawings, but it's at the very north end. You can see it maybe better on this one, the green square up at the top with the blue above the district. And it'll be brought into the district, brought into the DMA, and it'll make phase 3 a little bit easier with cost and things like that because of the location. So here's a little better view of the site. It is bordered, it's in that big curve. As you go, and Bixby Road is on the right, and then you cross the tracks, and so it's bordered on the east by State Route 188, and on the west by the railroad, Arizona Eastern. And then the Cattlemen's Association is just on the west side of that, which is an M3 site. And so the site's 8 acres. It's portion of it's outside of the floodplain, and we actually just recently we've been working with your staff to get the use permit, the floodplain use permit, and we received that just last week. So you know, that's going in the right direction, and so then we're just trying to get the county zoning changed to an M3 that will match what the Cattlemen's Association is. And then what's the other nice thing about is it's good access. It's all downhill from the project, and there's power, communications, and water pretty much at the site. So, and I don't know if there's any questions as I'm going through this. Please, you know, let's talk about them. If not, I think the next is the video. If you could start that. Okay, so it's as if you're on 188 traveling north is the way that it's set up. What you see on the left there are what the tanks could represent. And I think there's a lot more vegetation in there than what we're showing. We just kind of restricted with that because it makes the file size so big. But again, you're traveling on 188 heading north towards the railroad and Bixby Road, wheat fields. So I think it pretty much speaks for itself. You can see the tanks, and I actually believe that they'll end up being a little bit lower than what we're showing on the site there. And there's a big ridge right there on the edge of the north part of the parcel. So that's just to give you an idea of what it could look like as you're driving along 188. So that's pretty much all I have for our presentation. Okay. I don't know if there's open to questions or anything.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions. I've kind of been following this for the 7 years that I've been a supervisor. And I think it's a great thing that they now have this site so that they can finish their engineering and perhaps get started on phase 1 to help us with infrastructure between Globe and Miami, as well as helping protect our water tables and things of that nature. So I'm very happy to see it getting done and at this state obtaining property. And so that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really don't have any questions. I think it's a good site, and like you said, it's downhill from everywhere, so that's going to help you. So
yes,
good luck.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. I have no questions, so I'll at this time open it up to the public. Is that the appropriate time, Randy? Did you have more to present? Okay. All right. I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone here in Globe that wishes to speak to this item? I see no one. And how about Payson?
No, sir.
Okay. And YouTube, nobody's on there? Okay. All right. So I'll close the public hearing portion and we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I happily move to adopt ordinance number 2024-01.
And I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Randy. And we'll go to item 3B. Information, discussion, action to adopt ordinance number 2024-02, which authorizes an amendment to the Gila County zoning map for unincorporated areas in Gila County, Arizona, by changing the zoning.
Chair, you have somebody at the podium that would maybe.
I just wanted to say thank you to yourselves and to the county. Your staff and everyone has been fabulous helping us get through this project, and it's not possible without your all support and help. And it's the old adage, it takes a village. So thank you.
I appreciate those comments, and I would concur that we have a great staff, and it's really helpful to hear that you have that same impression. So thank you and good luck. Okay, I'll start with 3B again. We're going to be talking about information, discussion, and action to adopt an ordinance number 2024-02, which authorizes an amendment to the Gila County zoning map for unincorporated areas in Gila County, Arizona by changing the zoning of assessor's parcel number 301-69-193B located at 4421 North Highway 87, that's in Pine, Arizona, to residential 1 district density 35, R1-D35. Okay, Randy.
Again, good morning, sir, supervisors. So we're basically talking that whole upper left triangle. Currently, the owner, David Lafano, owns all of that. And if you'll notice, currently, the far left corner is the R1-D35. The rest is C2. Basically, so it's already dual zoned. Basically, he's lessening the C2 use and opening up the R1 use. He wants to build his house on this property. He's been using this property for bow tie roofing. In his words, he's slowing down and doing less work, so he doesn't need the room for the roofing company as much, but he really likes the parcel, and he wants to build his dream home on this. He will have from the upper right-hand corner, he'll have a driveway easement going through, but the red area he's wanting to make that all R1-D35 area and just have the C2 on the right-hand side. Around him currently is National Forest, and there's other areas that are R1-D35. There's one area to the east that's R1L, D10, and then to the west is R1-D35. He's went through the process. We've notified all of the citizens in the area. There was no comments for or against this project. The board met and gave unanimous approval for this. The ads went out on January 16th and 17th, respectively, between the Payson Roundup and the Silver Belt. And I believe Mr. Lafano might be in Pine.
Is Mr. Lafano wanting to speak?
No, I just want to let you know I appreciate your consideration on this. And Randy's been very helpful, and everybody in the county's been helpful, and just appreciate your consideration on this matter.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey, any questions?
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein?
No, I don't either.
Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Is anyone here in Globe wish to speak to this item? I see no one. Anyone in Payson that wishes to speak to this? No? Okay. And no. Cassandra? We're okay? I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance number 2024-02.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Randy. Good luck. All right, item 3C. We have information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 24-02-01 to name South Hounds Trail and South Eddie Conway Drive in Tonto Basin area. We have Tom with us today.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Yes, as land development continues and splitting lots, we've come across a need to name 2 roads, and this is the efforts. The names were provided via the constituents. We have no concerns, so we're coming to you for approval of the naming.
Thank you, Tom. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
And Supervisor Klein?
I'm good as well.
I'm good as well. So at this time, I'll open up for public hearing. Anyone in Globe wish to speak to this item? I see no one. How about Payson? Anyone wish to speak to this item?
No, sir.
No. And Cassandra? No. I'll close the public hearing and call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-02-01.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Motion second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving right along then, we'll go to item 4A. Information, discussion, action to approve the distribution of secure rural schools and communities funds, forced fees of Gila County share of the federal year 2024 Secure Rural Schools Act Fund as authorized through Section 24 of PL 114-10 for fiscal year 23 and 24, using the same percentage split as last year, which is roads 2.15, schools 77.93, and Gila County Educational Services Agency 19.92%. We have Nick with us today.
Good morning, Board. Before I get too far, Rory wants to send his apologies. He had volunteered to run the scoreboard at a wrestling tournament, so he's currently doing that.
Okay, we'll forgive him.
Yeah. So Supervisor Christensen, Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Humphrey, and Supervisor Klein. This is just us coming to do the distribution, so when we do receive the money, we can easily get it out to the schools and roads as quickly as possible. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I have no questions, Nick, so I'll call for a motion.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Chair. I'll make the motion to approve the distribution of secure rural schools and communities funds, forced fees of Gila County share of the federal year 24 Secure Rural Schools Act funds as authorized through Section 24 of PL 114-10 for fiscal year 23-24, using the same percentage splits as last year, roads 2.15%, schools 77.93%, and Gila County Education Service Agency 19.92%.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Nick.
Mr. Chair, one point, Nick, and this is, I just realized this too, and a lot of people may not realize the Gila County Education Service Agency is your adult program, correct?
Yes, the adult program is in the Gila County Education Service Agency, and that provides adult education to all of Gila County.
Good, thank you for saying that, because I know there's people that don't understand that and don't understand that this money does go to help fund that as well, so.
Yeah, it's a very underfunded program in general.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Our next item 4B, Mayor and I understand we're going to be tabling this item,
Yes, please.
and I will call for a motion to do just that.
Mr. Chair, I move to table the item of 4B.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling item 4B say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to item 4C, information, discussion, action to appoint Mickey Nye and Marvin Mole to the Board of Directors of the Industrial Development Authority of the County of Gila, Arizona for the term of office that expires on December 31st, 2024. And we have both Tim and Woody sponsoring this. Mr. Humphrey.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I had an individual on the Industrial Development Authority wish to step down, and so I have reached out and asked Mickey Nye to fill that position, as to which Mickey Nye said he would, and so I look forward to having him on the Industrial Development Authority as we pursue to move forward with the new IDA.
Thank you, and Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marvin Mole is the Director of the Public Works Transportation on San Carlos. Super smart guy, and I really appreciate the fact he's willing to do this. And so I too had that opportunity to put him on that board, and he'll be a good person there.
Great, and I don't know the two people, but I really appreciate everyone that's a member of the public that volunteers for these kind of things. It's very necessary to have people that are smart and capable helping us with the some of the boards and the things that we do. So with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to appoint Mickey Nye and Marvin Mole to the Board of Directors of the Industrial Development Authority of Gila, County of Gila, Arizona.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the appointments. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Motion passes. So for D, Information discussion action to approve amendment number 10 to an intergovernmental agreement. It is contract number DI 20-002263 between the Arizona Department of Economic Security and Gila County Community Services Department to add the itemized service budget in the amount of $463,780.93 for a period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2024, of which the funds will be used as rent and utility assistance. And we have Joshua Beck.
Good morning, Chairman Christensen, members of the board. So this funding is primarily, it's kind of split with our temporary assistance for needy families money. It pays for our person in the north and in the south and Payson and Globe that administer these programs, and then administers the funds for the housing assistance based on meeting income qualifications. We do have numerous vendors that help us out with some of these programs. If Supervisor Humphrey would like to get into those today, we can get into this item or a further item if you want to know the list. I did come prepared with everything we would need for those items, or if you would like to, we can present that in a work session and discuss them there. But as far as this item, pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's 2 people, their salaries, indirects, phones, office space north and south, and then the ability to provide these programs for the citizens.
Thank you, Joshua. Yep. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, maybe a work session at some point would be a great thing. We have a long agenda today, and so it's a great program. I'd just like to understand more about it. And so, other than that, I have no questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein?
I'm good. Thank you, Josh.
And I'm good as well. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 10 to the Arizona Department of Economic Security Intergovernmental Agreement Contract number DI 20-002263 as presented.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Joshua. Item 4E, information discussion action to approve the submission of a site investment project application to Freeport McMoran in the amount of $9,500 for the period of March 1st, 2024 to March 1st, 2025 to provide additional oral health care to underserved Gila County elementary students. Joshua, you have a...
Well, I brought Trish up here.
Okay.
Because she is our wonderful steal from the Sheriff's Department. And so if the supervisors understand much, and I don't want to go into great detail about this, but for me, from a public health standpoint, what we've learned about oral health is pretty crazy just in the 15 years since I graduated from college, that we really understand now that gum disease, gingivitis, different oral health issues tell like such a large factor about how long you're going to live, and heart attacks and everything come from the gum diseases and these things. And so with that said, there's just not that much funding in oral health these days. It's not an area that, the research and the funding haven't caught up to each other. So we've come up with this oral health program, and it's working wonderfully. But most of the money that we get from the Arizona Department of Health Services pays for one person, and we've done a great job of getting into the schools. Last year, if you remember, we had a Delta Dental contract, and one of the great things about getting that extra money was it allows Trish, when she goes into the schools, to actually assist students that aren't just in that small category of what the Arizona Department of Health Services, which is usually access, allows us to work with. Now that Delta Dental contract has gone away, so we're kind of swimming to try to find other small funding sources. So the good thing is we already have the the foundation and everything in place, and we're already going to the schools, so it's not a lot of money that we need, but we're trying to reach out to a bunch of different any institutions we can to find extra money, because when we're in a school, it's a shame to turn away those children that need help as well, that aren't access, but maybe don't necessarily have insurance or something. I don't know if Trish wants to expand on any of that, but that's kind of where we're at. So you might see this application and a few more, because we're trying to do our best to fill those gaps to make sure that she can get to as many students as she can.
Good morning. Yes, this would enable us to provide services for the children who do not qualify under our Cavity-Free Arizona. They actually only provide services for kindergarten, 2nd grade, and 6th grade. They go by kind of the standards of when permanent teeth erupt, the molars. But kids are so different. We've seen children in kindergarten who need sealants. We've seen 1st graders. We see some children who do not erupt their teeth until 3rd or 4th grade. So that is where this program comes in. It has been extremely successful and helpful, mainly being that we only have one access provider in all of Gila County, and it is in northern Gila County, and they do not accept all the plans. So going into the schools, a lot of these children that we have seen have never been to a dentist, and we've placed a lot of sealants, fluoride varnish, screenings. We do screenings, so if we see an emergency, we're able to refer their parents to a dentist. So it's just been a great program all around, and we hope to grow it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Supervisor Humphrey.
You know, thank you for all you do, because it's a great program, and anything we can do to help our young have a better start, I think it's a great thing, so thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
So, Josh and Tricia, is there, with $9,500, like, how many kids is that gonna help you cover?
We are planning on 750 children.
Cool.
It's not always sealants, which obviously takes more time and money, but the screenings, fluoride varnish. We have been in pretty much every school in Gila County with the exception of Pine, and continually trying, growing the program. Since I first started, we've hired a dental program specialist, Jolene, she's just creative and passionate, and she has just grown the program as well.
So with this additional 9,500, do you anticipate having to turn anybody back?
No.
Good.
Not for this year, but we do continue to search for funding for next year.
Good. Well, I'm sure whatever we can do to help with that, we will. So thank you for what you're doing.
Sounds to me like you're getting a lot of bang for the buck.
Yes.
700 students for 9,500. That's great. So I have no questions. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the submission of a site investment project application to Freeport McMorran as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. And we have another one for Joshua.
It's my show today.
Let me read it first, okay?
Oh, yeah.
4F, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement contract CTR 060267 with the Arizona Department of Health Services, which extends the contract of June 30, 25 and provides additional bridge access program funding not to exceed $199,342 to be used until December 31, 24 for the continuing provision of COVID-19 vaccination services to uninsured adults.
So this item is, we're still extending further on the COVID expanded lab capacity grants that we had way back at the beginning in 2020 for COVID. What this is for is they're extending the amount of money to try to help us with nursing and immunization coordinators, anything that we can do to continue to get vaccine out there. For us, we create like a COVID team. We use our immunization coordinators and our nurses that we pay for out of this to not only do shots in clinics, but we understand not everyone wants to go to the clinics. So anything that we can do in the residential centers, if we need to go to homebound individuals, really anybody that we can get to with this team to increase the amount of vaccinations we have is what this is for. So I believe we have, it's got to be spent by the end of this year. So December of this year, I believe we're paying for a nurse and 2 immunization coordinators out of it. So, and it's honestly, it protects our general fund. We've really been able to do almost all of our COVID still to this point with grants that we've received. So there hasn't been much county cost because we keep being able to use these programs to work with the population. So.
Thank you, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
Josh, is this about the end of the COVID money?
I hope so. There's still some there. A lot of the larger counties haven't. What's happened is, you guys understand. So what's happened is a lot of the larger counties are still they receive so much money that they're really far behind on spending their money, and they just keep extending it over and over. And then every time they extend it, because there's so much money, they offer it back out to the rural counties as percentages if we have projects. So
we keep having the opportunity to apply for pieces of Maricopa and Pinellas County's leftover grant funds to apply towards projects that we have, so,
So it could go on for a while.
yes.
Okay, thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, for what you do. So with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to the Arizona Department of Health Services Intergovernmental Agreement Contract Number CTR 060267 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve item 4F. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Joshua. Got another one here. 4G, information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to the independent contractor agreement number 070-12023-24 between the Arizona Community Action Association doing business as the Wildfire and Gila County Public Health and Community Services Department, whereby Wildfire will administer an additional $80,000 of funding for a total contract amount of $205,800, which will be used to provide weatherization services, utility repair and replacement, utility deposits, bill assistance, and to eligible citizens residing in Gila County for the period of July 1, 23 through June 30, 24. Joshua.
So this funding is extra, kind of like the last with COVID funding. There's extra funding. We look at mid-year how the spending is going as a state in these pots of money. The counties that are more efficient, that be able to utilize their money and get it out, usually have an opportunity to, at the midpoint when they look at the budgets for all the counties, to reapply for money. So there's an extra $80,000 in there. Ms. Lathrop and Ms. Buzon have always done a really good job of getting these weatherization contracts out. We have quite a few contractors on the books and they're pretty efficient in using it. So typically each year you'll see somewhere midway through the year, we always take that opportunity to ask for more money and typically are able to receive it. So this $80,000 is primarily all for those weatherization projects. So oftentimes new appliances, energy efficient appliances, these usually the big picture like AC units and stuff like that. It's more of those little smaller projects.
Thank you, Joshua. Supervisor Humphrey.
Looking forward to that work session. Other than that, no other questions. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm glad you guys are reaching out to get this extra money, Josh, because it, you know, we don't cover all the people that need help as it is. So this really, so thanks.
Yes, thanks. And you said Kaylee was part of
Yes.
doing so. Thank her also. With that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 1 to the independent contractor agreement, contract number 070-12023-24 with Arizona Community Action Association, DBA Wildfire as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. One more, Josh. Item 4H, information discussion action to approve amendment number 2 to funding agreement number 100-23 with Arizona Department of Housing to extend the agreement for 1 year to December 1st, 24 for Gila House Incorporated Transition Shelter Facility Acquisition.
Correct. So this funding was originally, I remember, for a house on Maple Street, and they were working with the, I can't remember the name of the property, if someone can help me remember, I'm just taking over community services, but we were doing the wiping of the property, the budget motel, we changed that, that's right.
This was the Maple property. This was a two-unit housing on Maple Street. Had purchased it for temporary housing, and there were some issues with the contracts and things, so we're just asking for an extension of that contract.
So we have about an extra 200 and a little over 230 plus thousand that Gila House could purchase another transitional property. One of the things we're working on is they have to be able to show 5 years of ability to do this on their own once, let's say, once the county funding and once this funding is no longer there, that they can continue to operate these transitional houses self-sufficiently. So we're working on how we help Gila House to get to that point that they're self-sufficient and that they could move forward with purchasing another property with this funding. And then there's about $14,000 still left in there for their administration and stuff of the program, again, to get to that point that they can be self-sufficient, which is part of the reason we did this as a pass-through, is, you know, kind of hold them up and get them going, get them off their feet, teach them how to do these grant government, the grants through the government, so that they can kind of do these and apply for these on their own. So that's really been my goal since I've come on, is grants are kind of something that I'm more attuned to, and I've been working with their board and with their president and stuff to kind of say, here's the kind of things you need to do, here's the, where you need to go so that we can get this, so that we can purchase another property. So we have an extra year now to work on that, and I think hopefully this will be the last time we have to extend it.
Okay, great. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for life. So I think it's a great program, and I wish you all the luck in the world with it.
Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, I agree with Supervisor Humphrey. It's a needed program, and so hopefully it'll all iron out and we'll be good. So thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. I have no questions, so with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to the funding agreement number 100-23 with the Arizona Department of Housing as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Josh. Take a break. Item 4I. Information, discussion, action to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the submittal of a grant application to the Arizona Department of Homeland Security for the Gila County Emergency Management Redundant and Interoperable North-South EOC Communications Project, and approve the Arizona Department of Homeland Security Sub-Grantee Agreement Number 21-AZDOHS-HSGP-210307-01 to accept the related grant award in the amount of $25,000 for the performance period of January 1, 24 to July 31, 24. Carl, good to see you.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board. I can't compete with Mr. Beck as far as the dollar amounts he brings to the table, but I'm sure going to try. So this was a grant application to replace some of the communication equipment that allows us to communicate with our emergency management staff between the north and the south. It's a redundant communication system, so a lot of the reason that this exists is if other communication options fail, we have access to this system. We also do have an amateur radio volunteer group that helps us with communicating throughout the county if other communication means fail. Initially, upon application, we were not going to get funded because public safety is kind of going towards an 800 megahertz system, and this is VHF and UHF. Once we explained that we do need to maintain these systems, one for our civil defense repeater, another for our emergency alert system that depend on VHF, UHF. So we do still plan on going towards 800 megahertz with public safety, but also maintaining this capability as a redundant communication. The current equipment that we have is at least 15 years old, minus the bits and pieces that we've had to put together to keep the system running up until this point. We were requested $43,000, and this was for the repeater equipment, an additional repeater for our mobile communications vehicle, and some other handheld radios and other equipment to go with it. We were initially awarded $14,000, but then an additional $11,000, so we're looking at a total award of $25,000, which will at least replace the repeaters in the north and south and reestablish that line of communication.
Thank you, Carl. Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, no, it's great with all that you do and all that you've been responsible for in helping us through all that we've been through. It's a great thing, and I wish there was more grant money out there to help you more, but thank you for reaching out for what you do get to be able to do what you do.
Thank you, and I'll be looking for more.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein?
Carl, thanks for keeping that older system up too, until you're ready to switch over, because that wouldn't work if everybody went to the 800 real quick. So thanks for doing that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and we plan on keeping it going because if something happens to one system, we have another, and it can very easily be utilized by our public safety partners as well. I failed to mention that. So if something with their system goes wrong, we can allow them over onto ours and reestablish communication as well.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. I have no questions. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the submittal of a grant application to Arizona Department of Homeland Security AZDOHS for the Gila County Emergency Management Redundant and Interoperable North and South EOC Communications Project, and approve AZDOHS subgrantee agreement number 21-AZDOHS-HSGP-210307-01 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Thank you. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That's one of the longest numbers.
Thank you, gentlemen. I will make sure to request a shorter grant award number on the next one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Item 4J, information, discussion, action to approve an economic development agreement number 08192023 between Gila County and the Payson Elks Club number 2154 in the amount of $15,000 for the construction of the Rally Around the Flags project on the Tono Apache Reservation in Payson, Arizona, which the board is determined to be for the benefit of the public. And Woody, you have this.
I do, and if you want to share in on this, by all means do so. So this is a project that the Tono Apaches started a couple of years ago, I believe it was. They've made great leaps and bounds in it. They raised a lot of money. They got a really awesome plan to put these flags there on the hill above Payson. It's a really cool project, and of course, just like it says there, it's to honor our veterans and everyone as well. And so they've worked really hard, and I'm glad to be able to help support it.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Yeah, this is a project which they've been working on, and Payson, you know, is known as the flag capital of Arizona.
Right, and a correction to that is us as a board are supporting this, all three of us. So
yes, so
I really appreciate it.
Right. So this comes out of our discretionary funds.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Grant number 08192023 with the Payson Elks Club number 2154 as presented, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. And item 4K, information, discussion, action to approve an economic development agreement number 010524 between Gila County and the Brownsville Western Heritage Incorporated in the amount of $5,000 to support Brownsville Western Heritage Incorporated, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, they do a great job every year with the kids on getting them out and letting them know about ranching and heritage and things of that nature. It's just they bust kids out, and it's really a great thing for Gila County to be able to have people that care like they do. And so if we all vote for this, not only did we vote for it, but all three of us contributed to this as well.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein.
So absolutely, Brownsville is there in Tunnel Basin, and they've grown that a lot for participants. I'm not sure exactly how many kids they have now that participate, but it's a lot. And I know also that NRCD supports it as well, and they've done an awesome job, and they're taking a lot of it into the schools and classrooms as well. So it's good.
Thank you, Supervisor. And I agree. It's a great program, and it's rare that programs like this exist, and it's done through the Browns a lot, and so they volunteer a lot of their own time and money to do this. If anyone from the paper is listening, we should do an article on what they do down there at Brownsville. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve Economic Development Agreement number 010524 with Brownsville Western Heritage Incorporated as presented, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Moving on to 4L, information, discussion, action to approve the use of state contract agreement number CTR 059323 with Santan Ford Partners, LLC, in the amount of $122,707.96 for the purchase of two 2024 Ford Expedition 4-door, 4x4 SSVs as outlined in the specifications. And we have Homero and Mr. LaForge as well.
Good morning, Chairman and Board of Supervisors. Dave is going to present the next two items, L&M, Dave LaForge. I'll be back for N and O, and then Dave will come back for item number P if it's okay with the board.
Thank you, Homero. Mr. LaForge, good morning.
Chairman, members of the board, as stated in the agenda item, probation would like to take advantage of some grant funding that was set aside and that's set to expire at the end of June.
I'm sorry, David?
Yeah?
David, hang on. We're having a connectivity problem down here. Can't hear. Okay, just hold on.
All right.
Can you test your microphone, David?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No.
Anything?
I'm talking too much.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, give me a second.
That where you want?
Yeah, that's fine. Don't bite.
Okay, give it another test.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Anything?
Keep talking.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. Test one, test two.
Chairman, with
Homero,
your
with that-
permission, and Dave, with your permission, if it's okay, I can make the presentation.
Okay, please do,
Dave can
Homero.
assist me as
Yeah.
needed, okay?
Sorry about that, David.
I apologize for not having Dave on these two items and perhaps introducing a little problem here. The item that we're talking about is item 4L, and it is requesting the board to approve a state contract for the purchase of two new Ford Expeditions with Santan Ford Partners. And as David started to talk about, these are two vehicles for probation. Probation has a grant they would like to utilize. They have $109,000 available. They're going to take approximately $13,000 from their division funding to complement that so that they can buy these two Expeditions. They in turn will return two vehicles, older vehicles, that are on our replacement list. Those vehicles will then be auctioned, and so we're not adding vehicles, we're merely replacing grant vehicles with grant money. And with that, I would like to request the board to approve the Arizona State contract with Santan Ford Partners for the purchase of two new Ford Expeditions.
Thank you, Homero. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, the only question I have is at some point I would like to maybe have a work session on why we just like Fords. But other than that, I don't have any question.
Supervisor Klein.
I like Fords.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but why is that the only vehicle that we have to buy?
I'm just
I mean, we
teasing.
put things out for bid.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Homero.
Thank you, Homero. I'm good as well. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to funding agreement number 10023 with the Arizona Department of Housing as presented. Oh, that's not it. Sorry, I forgot to
Or-
turn my page. Hold on.
Okay,
I move to approve, well, because we were on the Ford deal. I move to approve agreement number CTR 059323 with Santan Ford Partners LLC as presented.
And I will second that.
okay, motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. So for M, information discussion action to review the bids submitted for invitation for bids number 092523-2, new Class 8 10-wheel dump trucks, and award contract number 092523 to Empire Truck and Trailer in the total amount of $415,417.14 for the purchase of 2 trucks. Homero.
Thank you, Chairman. This item is asking the board to award a contract in response to an invitation for bids for 2 new Class 8 10-wheel dump trucks. We did receive 1 bid. This was published in the paper. We followed all the state and county procurement requirements. We were hoping for more than 1. We received 1 competitive bid, very close to what we had budgeted. We looked up internet pricing, and it appears to be a valid competitive bid. And it is by Empire Truck and Trailer. They met all the specifications and offered a total bid price of $415,417.14 for 2 units. With that, I would like to ask the board to approve awarding this contract. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Homero. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I really don't either, other than just one simple one, I guess. Homer, we pick up 2 new dump trucks. Are we still needing more?
We will continue. Yes, we continue to need vehicles as time goes on. I don't know if a 10-wheel truck is the next priority. I know they were interested in buying the compactors that we attach to a 10-wheeler, to a motor grader. We purchased 2. They're working very successfully. The Tonto Basin would like to have one, as well as the Globe Road Yard. Those are actually $25,000 each approximately, so it's not a major purchase. But we will, every budget year, this ends the capital equipment purchases that we had scheduled for this year. Okay, so we're looking at next year and setting a priority, and sometime in March, hopefully, we come to the board and share with you some of the capital equipment requirements we need going forward.
Good. Thank you, Homero.
Yes, thank you, Homero. I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award contract number 092523 to Empire Truck and Trailer as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Homero. Item 4N, information discussion action. To review the bids submitted for request for proposal number 110623, on-call heavy truck and equipment services, and award contract number 110623 to RDO Equipment Company in not to exceed amount of $150,000 for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year renewal options. Homero.
Thank you, Chairman. On December 5th, we came to the board and we talked about the reason for doing this and the need to do this. We rely on one vendor heavily, and we were looking for other vendors so that if we needed something done next week, we at least had somebody else we can go to if that vendor was busy. And we've run into cases where they are busy, and so this was an effort to expand the available vendors to us for repair of equipment. We had at one time had 3 compactors down at the landfills out of 4, and that really puts a burden on the entire team trying to use different type of equipment instead of what is the most efficient equipment. And so we were looking for vendors. We actually talked to vendors in the valley to try to understand what they would be interested in submitting an interest in this request for proposal. And we incorporated the idea of we will assign you some routine maintenance. So when you come to Young, you're not only coming to repair something that broke down, but you would do some maintenance work as well. We had that in the request for proposal for them, but unfortunately we only received 1 bid. and the bid is a competitor for Caterpillar. And it is still valid for us to, in my opinion, to go through with this because we established a second vendor. We were hoping a local vendor that we've used in the past would apply and they were interested. They had some family issues or something and they did not apply. They didn't give us an opportunity to intervene. We would have intervened with finance and county attorney to see if it was okay to delay the response, but they didn't call us, they didn't tell us, it just happened, they didn't submit a bid. So we're going with what is the one valid bid that we have, RDO Equipment Company, and we'll be asking the board to approve this this submittal for the request for proposal on on-call heavy truck and equipment services and award the contract to RDO Equipment Company for a not to exceed amount of $150,000 and a contract that's renewable for 3 years. With that, I'll take any questions the board may have.
Chairman,
Yes, Jessica.
members of the board, just due to the comments that Homero made, I just want to notate that you do have the option, if time is not of the essence, to deny all the bids and then put it out for bid again.
Thank you, Jessica. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's not necessary because we have equipment breakdown all the time. I think as soon as we can get some contracts in line, I think it's a good thing. And so there's always time in the future to put things out for rebids. But anyway, so that gives us 2 vendors that we can call at this point in time if we need services, which is important if we have equipment broke down at our landfills and have to compact and things of that nature. So I have no further questions.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
RDO, Homer, are they coming out of the valley?
They're out of Flagstaff.
Flagstaff? Okay. And is time of essence to us for this?
Yes, time is of essence.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything else.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. Yeah, I agree. I think we should vote on putting these in. As far as local contractors, we would love to see more of that. If they're not willing to submit a bid, though, there's not much we can do for that. So I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to award contract number 110623 to RDO Equipment Company as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve item 4N. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Homero. And we have item 4O, information discussion action to authorize the advertisement for request for qualifications number 011224, on-call professional training.
Thank you, Chairman. This item is a request for qualification for on-call professional training. The training, as spelled out in the board item, has to do with hydraulics and hydrology. And we're not trying to necessarily, the team that is going to be invited to this on-site training, in other words, the training is going to happen either here or in Payson. And it targets our engineering team, Tom Goodman and Alex, and our project management team. Today is Steve Williams, but we're looking for another project manager as we speak. And our road yards, especially the road yard managers. And so there is like a simple, they call it a nomograph. It's a device that you use on a piece of paper to project how much flow would flow through a culvert. You have to understand how to read it. It's something that the entire team can learn how to use. There's an understanding of how the erosion setbacks and the width of a floodplain. Some of those calculations on a very conservative level are basically algebra and simple. And so we're asking for this engineering firm, an engineer, to come down and offer some training that utilizes some of the state standards that Arizona Department of Water Resources has put together, so that we get our team to understand what I call the basics and the fundamentals of hydrology and hydraulics. And it envisions like a 2-day training period, 1 day today, and then 2-3 weeks later, another day of training. and inviting at least the team that I just talked about. It would be such that we will work with that engineering firm to determine the level of complexity, because this is not meant necessarily for engineers, even though I think our engineering team will benefit from this. It is meant for the project managers and the road yard managers. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to do it here locally instead of traveling. It's an opportunity for the team to come together, an opportunity for us to interact with the person that is presenting the training and to kind of custom the training almost on the spot. We're going to try to do it ahead of time, but if somebody asks a question that needs to be answered, to have that person be able to answer that question. It's just trying, I think, to grow our team in something that we need. And with that, we ask for the board to approve this request for qualifications.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I don't have any questions. I just have a comment. I really like the idea of doing more of this too, when we're getting those folks over here to train our people in Gila County. So I'm all for anything like this. It's good. So thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah, thank you, Homero. I totally agree. I think that it'll save money over time if our own people can make these calculations without having to hire all of that out every time. So with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the advertisement of request for qualifications number 011224.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And I presume, Homero, you'll also do 4P. Information, discussion, action to approve service agreement number 011124 with Hartstra Manufacturing LLC in an amount not to exceed $51,229 for the purchase and installation of an animal control box as outlined in the specifications.
Thank you, Chairman. We have been before the board on this item, and at that time we talked about the uses of vehicles that we have that have poor utilization, and in fact we incorporated that idea into this vehicle for animal control, and this is an agreement that would provide for the purchase and installation of a custom fiberglass animal control box on an already county-owned 2021 Ford F-350 chassis club cab, and it would be vehicle number C-111 from Hartstra Manufacturing LLC. The custom animal dog box is built with 6 separate compartments that are climate controlled and will allow animal control the ability to safely and humanely transport multiple animals in all weather conditions, as well as properly store and provide security to the equipment that they use for during their duties. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this, utilizing a vehicle that we already have that wasn't being utilized properly, and putting a animal control box on top of this vehicle that is something that would allow us to transport them in all types of weather. And with that, we ask for the board to approve service agreement number 011124 with Hartstra Manufacturing in an amount not to exceed $51,229 for the purchase and installation of this animal control box.
Thank you, Homero. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Homero.
So, Homero, is this going to be installed in Gila County, or are we having to move the truck somewhere else?
We're having to haul the truck.
Okay. Is it a crew cab?
Yes.
It is. Okay. All right. Because I remember this discussion. So this sounds good. So item 4P, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve service agreement number 011124 with Hartstra Manufacturing LLC as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Homero.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, David. Sorry we didn't have that. We'll have to look into what's going on up there. So we're down to item 4Q, information discussion action to present the results of a public surplus online auction conducted on behalf of the Board of Supervisors in December 2023 for properties that were deeded to the state of Arizona in care of the Board of Supervisors in 2023, and authorize the chairman's signature on the related quitclaim deeds for the sale of 14 properties. Samantha, fill us in on that.
Thank you, Chairman and board members. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Public Surplus, and the Clerk of the Board's office held an online auction to sell the 15 properties that were deeded to the state of Arizona in care of the Board of Supervisors in 2023. The auction began on December 15th, 2023, and ended on January 2nd, 2024. Of the 15 properties listed, 14 were sold. A total of $71,522.01 was collected and deposited with the county treasurer on January 18th, 2024. This resulted in a net profit of $54,525.50 over the lien amount, and the 14 properties are once again on the tax rolls. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Samantha. Supervisor Humphrey.
No, just provided that it's advertised well, I think this online auction's a great thing. I think it's a good way to go. I remember doing a couple of these auctions, and it wasn't as much fun as you would think it would be. So yeah, I think it's great, and like I said, providing that it's well advertised, I think that's a good way to go with our property. Thank you for all your work in that.
Thank you, and Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Sam. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And so with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the chairman's signature on 14 quitclaim deeds for properties sold at the public surplus online auction in December 23.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second to approve item 4Q. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, moving on to consent agenda items, item 5A through L. Would any of the supervisors wish to remove one or more of the items in the consent agenda list? Supervisor Humphrey.
I don't care to remove anything or comment on anything.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I'm good as well. Call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5L.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Very good. Moving right along here. So our next item is the call to the public, item 6. So this is the time, and I do have some call to the public forms. It looks like everyone here on these lists are from Young. So I will call for, is it Danette K? Okay, would you like to come forward, please? Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Danette Key.
Key, I'm sorry, Danette
okay.
Key, I'm sorry. And so go ahead, please.
Chairman.
Yes.
If you could just remind them the statute for the call to the public and then the time limit of 3 minutes.
Okay, the statute is Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01H. And Mrs. Key, we try and limit it to 3 minutes, okay?
Is there a clock somewhere that I'm supposed to look at?
Oh, you'll get buzzed.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, you'll get buzzed, so.
I'm under 3 minutes, so I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you so much for this morning. My name is Danette Key. I live at 295 South Rolling Hills Road. I retired to Young about 7 years ago, where I hoped I would have a supplement income to help me through my retirement years. A year ago, after deciding what we were going to do, we finally put down a $7,000 septic system for our planned short-term rental. After that was done, we ordered a 16 by 40 square foot, 20,000 house shell and had it put in the first half of our 2 acre land, acres of land. Then after that was completed, we spent $26,000 removing and replacing an old dilapidated fence surrounding the proposed short-term rental as to increase the beauty of it facing Potato Butte. And it has a really cute little deck right in front of it and make it look even nicer. I live with my husband on our 2 acre, in the back of our 2 acres, which most short-term rental owners do in Young. So we were hoping to have it done by spring, but now with this new ordinance, we're really worried that this is not going to happen. One of the items in the ordinance I would like to see removed is this background check. It is requiring a short-term rental owner to do more than a hotel or a motel is required to do. And I don't think that seems right, and it feels like a penalty for doing business as a short-term rental. I don't mind posting the items and warnings that was indicated in this ordinance, but am I posting it in my house or am I posting it outside of my rental? I'm apt to say rental on both of those, including my name and address and phone number for any transient or criminal to walk by and copy. The ordinance doesn't really address this specifically. Also, the item that addresses the occupancy is very confusing to me. I'm assuming that part in the ordinance was to limit people from having a large crazy party on the property, but it won't solve that problem. For example, if I invited 20 people over to my rental for a party, and let's say they're not staying the night, therefore they're not occupying the rental, they all go home by 10 o'clock. But let's say 4 people decide that to crash on my couch because I'm not going to let them drive through my town intoxicated. Does the sheriff come the next day and count the 4 crashers on the couch as occupants? Does the owner get a fine for agreeing that they shouldn't drive intoxicated through the town? It seems very ridiculous to me because the problem is still there. Now, I am here representing several owners of short-term rentals in Young, and I'm hoping soon to see a scheduled work meeting with all 3 of our county supervisors addressing this ordinance and hopefully making some changes that make sense. I'm not completely opposed to it, but I think that a lot of it is redundant and some of it is unnecessary and will in the long run hurt us all financially. I'll look forward to that meeting. Would like to know if you could tell us today when that meeting is scheduled, and I will be following up so that we'll all be following up to see if we can be more involved. Thank you.
Great timing. Thank you for that. And that meeting has not yet been scheduled, but it will be at some point. Okay. And next we have Mr. Key. Is it Hal?
It is.
Hal. Thank you.
My name's Hal Key. I live at 295 South Rolling Hills Road in Young. I'm retired from the Mesa Fire Department as a fire protection engineer, and I'm also a licensed mechanical engineer. I have served on multiple national committees, both with the International Building Congress, which writes the International Building Code, International Residential Code, International Fire Code. And I have submitted numerous changes to those documents. So codes are what I lived with during my professional career. I've studied this ordinance. But first off, I want to apologize for not knowing that this ordinance was on the agenda in December and even knowing that it was being considered. That's my issue. I've now been made aware of it and will pay closer attention to this issue. I want to address one piece of the ordinance that you may not have thought about that will maybe come into play, and that's youth camps. We have a number of youth camps within Gila County, both Boy Scouts, which have 2, Girl Scouts have 1, and there are other youth camps within the county. Those are short-term rentals. Those troops, those scouts, they come in for a week and they're renting their campsite. And if they can't, if tents are excluded from being a short-term rental, that limits what they can do. Camp Geronimo has approximately 20 buildings that are cabins that the council, the Grand Canyon Council, rents out at times. Those would fall under that category as well. And then when the camp is in operation, which is about 7 weeks during the year, the staff then lives in those camps. Now, they are paid room and board along with their weekly salary, but then that would be considered them paying for that cabin. So my suggestion is that we address this particular piece of that ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have, and forgive me if I don't understand, it's Janine Nyman. Janine Nyman, please come up and tell us what you...
This is a first for me. I've been in this room a few times, but thank you for having us, supervisors. I live in Young, Arizona, and I just started doing a short-term rental in October. I have a teepee. It's massive. it's 26-foot teepee, it's luxury, it's beautiful. But it's not an ordinance, it wouldn't comply, because I've got one exit, and it's permitted, I have a permit on the deck, which is good, but I need to make sure that I can still operate this. It does, because it was 3.6.4, where RVs can't be an Airbnb either. And that being said, our friend Lauren Cathcart, who's not here, and she's been hosting for 5 years, she's a super host, I just got super host, yay, yay. And I enjoy it. But she has an Airstream RV. Now, there's no wheels on it, it's permanent. So in that, it's saying that things are temporary. Well, my teepee, yeah, could I take it down tomorrow? Yeah, it's gonna be a pain because it took me about 6 months to get it up. It's massive, it's not something that's temporary, but it's really enjoyable. Families have come up, have enjoyed it, first time camping experiences. I mean, a mother and her 2 kids came up, or father and his 2 kids, they've never camped a day in their life, and like, what a nice treat for them to do that. So I just think we need to look at this ordinance, and, because I have a unique experience, but now I'm not working. I had to retire from doing hair after 33 years. So neck problems, you know, a lot of that. So this was my next thing, and then while I was on vacation, I get a thing, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I finally start something, and I'm finally like getting out of my depression, and then this hits. So I would really like you guys to consider doing a meeting, and let's kind of work it out, because there are unique experiences. And my next thing that I'm building on my 2 acres, it's not even, it's my property, but a hobbit house, subterranean hobbit house, so that, you know, I look in the future, if I have to live in it someday, I can't. So I want it to be fun, and it's exciting. We do these Airbnb things because it's like, oh, it's fun. It's like, oh, I want to stay in a hobbit house. I want to stay in a teepee. And I've gotten nothing but, you know, 5-star reviews, and I'd hate to not be able to do this, because my husband, 67, he's going to need to retire in a few years, even though he doesn't think so. But we're going to need some extra income, and I can't go back to doing hair. It's just not going to happen. I was really good at it. One of my clients is in the back row, old client. So he knows, him and his wife weren't real happy about that, but I had to retire. But I just like to consider about, like, let's look at this ordinance, at least for young, you know, whatever you want to do with pine and strawberry, not my problem. But our town is just so special. And the businesses rely on it, every single one. And so without us, you got nowhere to stay except the hotel. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nyman. The supervisors can respond to any criticism as they perceive it, and may also direct staff to look into a matter. So I would ask Supervisor Humphrey if he has anything.
I don't feel criticized.
Supervisor Klein?
No, I think it's, for once, I'm not criticized either, so that's a good start. But, no, I would just say that, you know, a work session on this would be good.
Thank you for your presentations. I have made a little list of some of your concerns, and yes, Manager Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, we are working to get the schedule. I just checked with Michael. It is not scheduled at this time, but we have anticipated and planned to have a work session. So,
okay, thank you for that, and I did speak with Manager Menlove this morning, and so it won't be any sooner than the month of March, so just try to look for that as we move forward. So,
Mr. Chair, if I may, as we direct staff, I would like staff to perhaps reach out to all communities, because if we do something, it's countywide. We can't break off parts of the county. So that if we're going to have a work session, let's reach out to the people that we know with short-term rentals to get as much input as we can at that meeting, instead of just have people from a particular area when we're working with an ordinance that's countywide, that we get as much information in front of us to work with staff as we go forward.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey. Supervisor Klein.
Mr. Chair, I agree with that as well. You know, our ordinance will be countywide. And so the more input, participation, ideas, whatever we can get out of folks, the better off we're all going to be, so.
Thank you. And so if I were to direct staff, if I were to direct staff, the concerns listed today were background checks and whether or not that is something that we should include in the ordinance or not. Occupancy issues as far as was indicated, whether people are there but don't spend the night or something that was concerned youth camps, and then this teepee. That sounds intriguing, actually, but it's that is something that doesn't fit in the ordinance well, and so I think Manager Menlove, I'll let you pursue those so that when we do have a work session, we can address issues that we've already agreed to look at anything that needs to be tinkered with in this ordinance. We don't want it to be concerning. We want it to work well. Okay, with that, I will ask if there's any more public here in Globe that wishes to speak. No? How about Payson, Lisa?
No, sir.
Thank you. Did you hear her loud and clear? No, you didn't. Okay. Cassandra, anybody on the internet? How many do we have today? We have 20. 20. That's good. All right. Thank you. And so I'll move to item 7. At this time, we will allow the members of the board and the county manager to present a brief summary of current events. So Manager Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, last week we've had some discussion about it with our facilities discussion, but the expansion of the landfill in the northern part of the county, went on a tour with Mr. Vela and his team. They run a great operation, as evidenced by the recognition that was given this morning. But looking at what the potential uses of that property, I believe that they came back with a estimate of $1,700 per acre, and may consider an acquisition of 500 to 600 acres in that area for future development of county programs and services. So it's some opportunities there to take advantage of this. The Townsite Act is what this acquisition would be through. And Townsite Act, the Forest Service is telling us this is a one-time deal, that whatever we need for any potential future uses by Gila County needs to be done at this time. So that is moving forward. It'll be coming to you for consideration in the next several months. Thank you.
Thank you. That's an incredible price. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have attended a CAG Regional Council meeting, attended a District 2 project meeting, attended a NACO Transportation steering meeting. I'll hold a Tonto Basin community meeting tonight, and we'll hold a Roosevelt community meeting on February the 12th. I will be on KQSS on February the 12th at 5:30, and then we'll attend the Miami Town Council meeting at 6:30 after that. So that's kind of my recent activities.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
Mr. Chair, last Friday I attended a breakfast roundtable with Governor Hobbs in Superior. There was probably 15 of us. Kathy, is there? Yeah, not just a perfect group. Good discussions, and she was there to kind of focus on the Copper Corridor, and Resolution was giving her some tours and taking her down in the mine and everything like that. Yesterday I was on KMOG, and Mr. Menlove was there with me. We had some good questions, I believe good topics. Everything went good on that. And this coming Friday, me and Mr. Menlove and Kathy, we're all headed to DC to NACO. So we'll be there till, you're not coming back till Wednesday though, are you?
Wednesday.
Yeah, me and Kathy will be flying back on Tuesday.
Mr. Chairman, could I add on to that? Of course, our visits to Washington DC are to look for funding and different projects specifically, just to make sure you're aware and the public of what projects that we are submitting and taking forward to the public. First of all, the 512 road, looking to continue to get that to asphalt or whatever surface that we get down there, but to improve the 512 road. We have 3 roads that we want to do, but of course 512 is the #1 priority. Second is a control road in northern Gila County. That whole section, we continue to improve sections of that, but still continue to seek for funding for the control road. And third is the Russell Road access up into the canals. That's a third priority. We're not going to get funding this early, but we are getting, as was stated, a state SMART grant to do the design and do the preparation for that we can in the future take that road to the federal government for funding. 3 other projects that we have. One is electrical out at the fairgrounds, $1.5 million cost that was mentioned by facilities. Really, there's no further development that could happen out there without that 3-phase electrical in that area. Another one is, we had talked about doing composting last year, but we're going to refine our request for recycling at both of our landfills. That requires some machinery and equipment to be able to do proper recycling. So we're going to try to expand our recycling programs that they are doing now, but get some funding for new equipment to take care of that. And then an ADA compliant residence for the Veterans Retreat. So those 6 projects are on our list of potential federal funding. Thank you.
Thank you, and I wish you the best to get all that done. So
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may just back up a little bit, clarify, I should have done it to begin with. In that roundtable discussion with Governor Hobbs, I focused on 3 different issues. One was the Russell Road. I'd spoke with Homero on the SMART grant fund and what they're working, and they are working with the governor's staff on that. So talked to her a little bit about that. I also talked to her about the water issues, the fact that she's trying to establish a Arizona water policy in the state, and that, you know, as a rural county, we are very much focused on water and where that's going to go. Also, I discussed our youth program to them as well, and the way it's been going for the last several years, and mentioned that they had anything they had in mind to help us, well, we'd sure take it. Those were kind of the 3. Also, in DC on NACO, besides what Manger's talking about, I'm on the Public Lands Committee, National Committee through NACO, and so our meetings are on Saturdays, usually all day on that, and that has to deal with a lot of different policy and things like that from state to state. And so it's a really good committee to be on. So I thought I'd clarify that.
thank you, Supervisor. So the Hash Knife went through Payson last Wednesday. Went to the dinner that evening for them. They very much appreciated Gila County and what we have done to support that. And if you look at my Facebook page, you can see they gave us one of those posters that they produce every year. So that's a special thing. And also on the Legislative Policy Committee, there's over 1,500 bills now that have gone circulating around. Some of them are in committee, some of them are not. It's just an enormous amount. There's 2 bills, the Senate Bill 1733 and House Bill 2785, very similar, talking about the potential automatic recount discussion, extending dates and deadlines so that if we did start doing an automatic recount of any sort, there would be time for that. I don't know if that'll pass because of the political climate. Groundwater, like you mentioned, is a very concerning topic. As the governor hints at potentially doing something through executive action, I really would rather see that go through the legislature, but I haven't seen a solution I really was fond of anyway. So We're going to be meeting with Senator Kelly's assistant, Taylor, and we're currently scheduling that right now, and that'll be a discussion regarding the Fossil Creek Recreation Area. And so that's pretty much all I have right now. So if there's nothing else, yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, I should have written these down so I could be better. Representative Crane is having staff come here to north and south to have office time in the county, and that's like once a month. So I don't really know the details of when it's going to be, but Representative Crane is having representation here in the county monthly. So just want to let the public know that that is taking place.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there anything else from anybody here? So, okay. Well, that brings us to somewhere, item 8, and it's an executive session. So item 8A is information, discussion, action to vote to go into executive session under Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.03A3 for legal advice regarding below the rim metery, and I will call for a motion to do just that.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
A motion and second to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. this meeting back to order and ask for a motion to instruct staff to proceed as directed.
So moved, you made it. I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay. A correction on the motion that it would be the county attorney as part of staff to proceed as directed. Can I get a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion
I'll
and a
third.
second. All those approved, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.